In this video, we'll be covering accounting for stock dividends. Similar to cash dividends, the challenge is not so much the accounting. It is similar to accounting to cash dividends. When you declare a stock dividend, you're still going to have a debit to a contra equity account similar to withdrawals, but in this case will be really is sort of a holding account for the amount that relates to the actual stock dividend. And we'll talk about how do you come up with that amount in a second. There is a sort of a payable. It's actually not a payable. It looks like a payable, but it's actually an equity account, and it's called stock dividends distributable. That's the holding account for the eventual holding of the stock account that you're going to be issuing in the stock dividend eventually. And then the excess between the sales price or the issue price in the stock dividend and the par value will actually be accounted for as a credit to the PAC in excess of par common stock. And so that's in the case of the declaration of a stock dividend. When you actually distribute the shares, it could be a month, 2 months, sometime later after the declaration, you're going to distribute those shares. So that's when you get rid of this account by a debit to that account for the amount of the dividend at par, and then you're going to credit the actual common stock account for that amount. So that the accounting is quite simple, as you can see. Now, how do we come up with these numbers here, with the amounts? Well, that's actually based on certain calculations here. The given for this problem is that there are actually 2,000 shares outstanding of common with a $20 par value. There is a 5% stock dividend rate, or actually a 5% stock dividend given. This is not a rate, actually. It's just a stock dividend of 5%. At a time when the price in the market for this common stock is $31. So given that, you first have to figure out what is the amount of the actual dividend. Well, you start with a 5%. That's where you're given that 5% is the amount of dividend in terms of stock. Well, 5% of what? Well, 5% of the outstanding stock. Again, 2,000 shares. That means that the stock dividend is really 100,000 shares total that are going to be given to the shareholders. And so that's just a number of shares. What is the actual amount of money we're talking about? Well, in that case, you take the 100,000 shares times the current market price of 31, and the result is the amount of the dividend. And that's what you see here in the debit side. Now, you have to break that up into both the par portion of that amount and the excess portion that we did for the stock issues. To do that, you simply take the 100,000 shares in the stock dividend times the par, which is given here, of $20. So the portion that relates to the common stock eventually, because you can see that here as well, is $2 million. And the excess between, again, the price and the par would be $11. And so times the 100,000 shares again, that is 1.1 million. And that's how we come up with that PAC in excess of. I hope that was helpful. Take care. Bye-bye.